In 2016, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders cornered the market on the progressive wing of the Democratic Party as he ran against Hillary Clinton. And now, 4 years later, with a much larger field of candidates, look at them, there's a battle brewing over who will win over the support of the Democratic left now. Trying to gain momentum over Sanders is Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. Here she is today in Indiana campaigning on her populist economic message and trying to win back voters there who went for Trump in 2016.
America's economic policy for decades now has been let giant corporations do pretty much whatever they want. Here's the problem. Those giant corporations, they're not loyal to America. They're not loyal to American workers. They're loyal to exactly one thing, their own profits. Yep.
Well, as the New York Times writes, neither Ms. Warren's campaign nor that of Mr. Sanders will say at this point that they're deliberately eyeing each other, even though they are the candidates out of more than 20 who most represent the Democratic Party's left flank. But her trip to the upper Midwest this week is the latest example of how they are increasingly jockeying the same cohort of left-leaning voters and donors. A new poll from Morning Consult makes the point. It shows Warren's support trending upward while Sanders is seeing his numbers declining. Look at that. Look at that. She was 7 to his 24 just 2 months ago, and now she's 10 to his 19. That is a tightening race on the left. For more, I'm joined by Chris Hayes, host of MSNBC's All In, who will be holding a live town hall at 8 o'clock right after Hardball tonight with Senator Warren up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Chris, I don't know whether you see it. I think, well, let's talk about it. I get the sense that it's zero-sum with her and Bernie right now. She goes up, he's going to come down a bit.
I think that's probably right, although I think there's a lot of space and time for all those dynamics to shake out. I mean, there are a whole lot of votes on the table, and I think that the most obvious sort of formulation that I think people are conceiving of since Biden got in the race is basically Biden and then a few alternatives to Biden as they winnow down. And I think that there's space for both of them as that field winnows down. I think if you look at the polling, they clearly are commanding larger chunks of the electorate than the 12 or so who are polling at 4% or less. But ultimately, yes. I mean, ultimately, as the field narrows down, if both of those candidates survive later and later, which I think right now they're both well poised to do, there is going to be a natural desire for one of them to overtake the other.
What do you make about Bernie's race this year? Do you think it has the fire? Let me just put it this way. She has been protean. She goes up with new ideas just about every couple of days. She is generating policies, places that she says, I've got something for everything, pretty much. Bernie is basically selling the socialist old mantle of I'm the guy of the left, I'm the guy that's been there before, stick with me.
Yeah, I think there's two things that happen. One, I think that when the Sanders and Sanders team conceived of their race, I'm not sure they thought that Biden was going to get in. And I'm not sure they were quite prepared for how much of a chunk of voters Biden would take up at the beginning and how much of the oxygen he would take, partly because the last time around they were the only non-Hillary Clinton candidate functionally. Warren, on the other hand, I think saw herself as needing to make up ground from the beginning. And she and the campaign sort of had a theory of the case and a strategy, which was we're going to make news by releasing policy, by coming up with ideas. We're going to go out and do a ton of town halls, take a ton of questions, be very clear about what our positions are. And that kind of tortoise and the hare dynamic, their theory of the case so far has borne a lot of rewards.
Yeah, what do you think of the wealth tax? Because I get the sense that's one way to grab the passion on the very hard left. People that are very angry about inequality in the country economically. They don't think all boats rise with the tide, and they want somebody to say that.
Chris, the funniest thing about the wealth tax is that it has plurality support among Republicans when polled. I mean, whether that would survive an actual election in which a huge amount of money and messaging would be brought to bear on why the wealth tax is a bad idea. If you go out and talk to people, even though in the terms of American political debate, taxing actual wealth as opposed to income is a real departure from the way our tax code works, it's broadly extremely popular when you pass it by people, not just on the left.
Yeah, it may not even be constitutional at this point. We'll see, though. Chris, good luck tonight with the crowd. I see them behind you. They're all very attentive and ready to hear from you.
You guys want to wave to Chris Matthews? You say hi to Chris Matthews?
They're so quiet. Our people are much noisier.
They're trying to be respectful. They're trying to.
I know, it's very nice. I like them. I like them already. Thank you so much, Chris Hayes. Good luck tonight. Be sure to, by the way, everybody watching right now, to catch Chris's live town hall with Senator, there she is, Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren, right after Hardball tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm joined right now by Jamal Simmons, a Democratic strategist and host of Hill TV, and Susan Del Percio, a Republican strategist. Susan, you first, because I want you to look at the field. Is there anything moving? I mean, I'm looking at it, the numbers we get every couple of days now. Do you see anybody moving up or down?
Well, people are moving, but the question is when will it stop? And we know we're going to see this for several more months. We're 3 weeks away from the first debate on MSNBC and NBC. And that's going to be very telling. I think that's when we see those bright lights go up, and you're going to see some people really shine who we didn't expect, and others probably have flop sweat, not expecting that either. So we have a lot of time to see movement. But when it does come to the Sanders-Warren situation, I think that it's more about Sanders came in and he had that support of being the outsider against the establishment from 2016, and he just thought he had it. And he didn't realize that he had to keep earning it. And Elizabeth Warren assumed nothing, and she's just grinding it out, doing her job, going from town hall to town hall, offering policy. And I think Bernie seems a little mean and angry right now.
Well, you know, Jamal, he had some of my kids going into this thing, and he had a lot of people's kids. He had the young people.
He did have the young people. I remember sitting next to a young woman in Detroit, Michigan, in the primary last time, who said that she was for Bernie. I said, why? She said, because everybody says I shouldn't be. That's why I'm for him. You know, she just wanted to be an iconoclast against the norm.
Okay, let me try my theory by you, both of you. That Elizabeth Warren is not eating Bernie's lunch, but she's gaining on him.
Yeah.
Why?
Listen, I think Elizabeth Warren is doing something that's very keen. She's showing leadership. It's not just the policy she puts out. When they asked her the question about the impeachment, her reaction was, yeah, impeach him. She didn't kind of dance. She didn't, let's show people a little bit more of the evidence and then see where people land. She just said, impeach him, and went right for it.
It's an honest answer, too.
And whether you agree with it or not.
Nobody wants more evidence. I mean, it's either or.
Yeah, but whether you agree with her or not, she had a position, she took it, and I don't think, it doesn't sound like she's playing politics. Listen, I don't know if this is
By the way,
all...
I like about her is that she's been pushing this populist argument that it's way before she was a senator from Massachusetts.
Yes. You know why she's running for president.
Yeah.
Here's the difference. People compare her to Hillary Clinton. I think it's absolutely wrong. It's a gender and age dynamic that is the only thing they have in common. But also, she has a very clear reason about why she's running for president in a way that we never really knew why Hillary Clinton was running for president and what she wanted to do. Let me just say this. I think at the end of the day, both Warren and Bernie are running kind of in the intellectual left, right? It's a head argument. You got somebody like Cory Booker who's running from the emotional left. It's about social justice, and he's going after those voters who really care about the social justice agenda. And the question will be when you get to Cory Booker and the question will be when you get to someplace like South Carolina, is it like the economic intellectual left or the social justice emotional left?
Well, here's President Trump preparing to formally declare his re-election bid later this month. The president's approval numbers, by the way, remain underwater in some of the key battleground states. In fact, all of them. According to Morning Consult, the poll we just talked about for the Dems, the president's approval rating is below 50% in states he won, like Wisconsin, Michigan, Iowa, Pennsylvania. Susan, what do you make of that?
Well, I think
anything?
It's not surprising. It matches what we've been seeing all throughout his presidency. What I find interesting is that the Trump team is trying so hard to change the map. They know that so many states that he won are not going to be in play. But where they're trying to go into play, places like Colorado and New Mexico, where he lost both states. Now, New Hampshire, he did tie, I think it was 46.4 to 46.8. So it was close. But they don't have a plan to pick up new states, and that's really going to be a problem for them. So they're playing hard, and I will give them, credit, the campaign credit, in that they are going into these states early and trying to do something. But after 2018, I don't see how that's going to work.
You know, there used to be a boxer named Ingemar Johansson from Sweden. He knocked out Floyd Patterson. He had one good punch, one good fight, and then he kept getting beat the rest of his life.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes people have that Sunday punch,
That's right.
Jamal.
Right, the Buster Douglas in my era.
And they land that punch, but they can never do it again because lightning doesn't strike twice.
That's right. But here's the thing. In the Democratic Party, that's especially true. Democrats are miserable to the people who've run before.
Yeah.
And I think that's a challenge. It's a challenge for Biden. It's a challenge for Bernie. These candidates who are first-time candidates, these candidates who are first-time candidates, they've got an edge just because they're first-timers.
It's interesting. Susan, your party has always been kinder to its defeated. They bring back Bob Dole 20 years later. They bring in Jack Kemp. Give them one more try. Democrats do shoot their wounded.
Well, Chris, I don't know if that's the case under this party right now with President Trump. I think Trump's just happy to shoot at anybody and won't let anyone stand up. But the other side of that is, I know we all are hesitant about looking and saying Donald Trump and how difficult it will be because of the outcome of 2016. But again, you look at those poll numbers state by state, which is the important way to look at it, because let's not forget the polls were not wrong on the national election. Hillary Clinton got more votes. It's when you look at states and state to state, and the poll numbers are not there. The math is not on Trump's side right now.
Yeah, I think if Warren runs the kind of disciplined race she's been running and sticks to those populist economic issues.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.